Hi everyone, and welcome to Learn Languages with Nina. My name is Nina, and today I'm going to give you my take on the current political situation in the United States, and specifically what led up to where we are today. In this episode, I will be using idioms and a variety of very specific terms. So if you are watching this to practice your English, I suggest you fast forward to the end of the episode where I talk about the different terms and idioms that I'm using. On the plus side, this has been a huge wake-up call to Americans, many of whom have had a laissez-faire attitude in terms of what's going on. Now, however, that is very different. There is a renewed sense of political and social activism in this country that we haven't seen since the 1960s. The first most notable one is the Women's March that occurred on Inauguration Day, where millions of women went to Washington, D.C., wearing pussy hats as a way of protesting Donald Trump's comments in that video. And this went viral throughout the country and indeed throughout the world. There were women's marches protesting his presidency. And related to that movement is the Me Too movement, which was originally spurred by some Hollywood actors calling out HARVEY Weinstein for sexually assaulting them. And after this happened and became more public in this era of activism, more and more people have come forward to accuse their abusers. Another movement that is going on right now is the March for Our Lives movement. In our country, we have something very horrible that happens in our schools, which is school shootings, which originally started with Columbine, and recently we had the shootings in Parkland, Florida. And the students from that school have bravely stood up and said, we're not going to take it anymore. And they have been organizing marches and protests. They have been to Washington in order to get some gun control. In this country, the gun lobby, the gun makers, and the supporters have a heavy influence in Washington because they pay into the funds for politicians to get elected. And therefore, the politicians need their money and support the NRA. The NRA is the biggest group, the National Rifle Association. However, there is a large movement that has been started by these teenagers in Florida, which is going on currently. And last but not least is the Black Lives Matter movement. This is a movement that actually started before Trump was elected in 2013. And it is the result of police brutality and violence against African Americans, and also in general against the systemic racism in our society. This movement as well has gained momentum in this new era. Another example is very personal to me. It is labor wages and fairness of laborers. I currently teach at the University of Michigan, where after 27 years of teaching experience and a master's degree in teaching, I am currently paid $34,500 a year for full-time work. I am currently involved in LEO, the Lecturers Employee Organization, and we're currently in the process of fighting for a fair contract. We are trying to get the minimum salaries raised, and we also are looking for equity amongst our 3 campuses. Our primary campus is in Ann Arbor, and the other two are Dearborn and Flint, where they make even less money than we do. And particularly shocking is in Flint, who has suffered so enormously because of the water crisis that has been going on. Essentially, the citizens of Flint have been poisoned because the state decided it was too expensive to give them the fresh water from the Detroit River and Lake Huron, and instead, to cut the costs, give them the water from the local Flint River through very old lead pipes. And this has led to 15 deaths and many children being very unwell. So the University of Michigan has a responsibility in Flint. It has a responsibility to all of its employees to give them a living wage. And just to give you a little bit better idea of the situation, lecturers bring in $462 million to the university through the courses they teach and the tuition that students are paying to take these courses. Of that money, we are only getting $85 million for our salaries and our benefits. The rest of the money is going into the pockets of the university, and so far they have been choosing to build new clubhouses and new buildings all over the campus instead of paying their employees a living wage. And this problem is not only at the University of Michigan. It is a problem throughout the United States, where lecturers and what they call adjunct faculty do not get paid a living wage. We are different from professors who are tenured, meaning they get permanent work and they have much better salaries. Lecturers and adjunct faculty have much less job stability and far lower wages. We are very much hoping that the University of Michigan, who calls themselves the leaders and best, decide to put their money where their mouth is and pay the lecturers what they deserve to have a living wage. So even I myself am much more politically involved today. And although it stems from a very personal cause, I am now feeling much more open to fighting and joining in other causes with the current climate in our country today. Once again, I would like to say that these are my opinions expressed in this video. You are welcome to agree with me or disagree with me. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you tune in again to Learn Languages with Nina. And please stay tuned if you would like to hear my explanations of some of the terminology and the idioms that I used in this episode. A wake-up call is when we become alert to a bad situation. We have suddenly realized that things are very bad and we need to do something. Laissez-faire is a term that comes from French, meaning let to do. So you basically do nothing and let things take their own course and you don't interfere. An inauguration is the formal admission of someone into office. So in the United States, Inauguration Day is when the president officially becomes the president. To call someone out means to draw critical attention to someone's bad behavior. So you're pointing out their bad behavior to others. You're calling them out. A lobby is a group of people trying to influence politicians or other officials on a specific issue that they're interested in. A systemic problem is a problem in the system, so relating to the whole system, the whole organization or country, rather than some parts of it. To put your money where your mouth is means to do what you say you are going to do. Don't be a hypocrite. Put your money where your mouth is. Thank you very much for tuning in to Learn Languages with Nina. And please visit my website, learnlanguageswithnina.com, to find more videos and to find out a lot more about me. Thanks again, and see you next time.